the other. Unknown unknowns, cell structure standard, objective unknowable, unthinkable, and underhand, a bit like the anti-masons but without compass and aprons. We work within the boundaries and metaphors compounded. Nobody knows who planned it, traveling underground or the alien's identity. Hiding in plain sight, you never saw the entirety of this entity. Imperial, try to trace through the mechanics, finding file marks for serials. You can scream but I can't hear you, leaving only digital misprints for footprints with the intent. Distraction factors, causing incidents and false captures. My grandfather's father founded secret societies, and now I infiltrate secrets using PSI tricks and quantum mechanics. So through the gas in the nucleus, a partial observer performing deconstructive surgery using society's perversions. I wear a fake face under my true face, under my fake face for you. Finding finger holes in the landscape of your psychology simple. I sit in coffee shops with my associates surrounded by architecture. We left illumination a long time ago in favor for articulated endings. Retraced our steps back to an origin and scar of gray. Stone radio transmissions frequently sending live messages to dead drops, cool things on hard stops, ideas, immobility, engage, interlock, dead shot, straight to the heart of the antimatter surely, invisible university through to the anonymous observatory.
On my chest, cause I'm that special, feel danger. Real top secret, astronomers deepest legions. Leaning to the left with the laser pens and the X-ray specs. And my shirt best, cause I'm the best. 706 and shape shifting all the best. The ancient monolith, the ancient every war that fought forbids the gatekeeping the sound that keeps myself to myself, self-trained. Dedicated brain set. Go and steady balance, so I don't go out all insane. But the whole recurring dream pattern always seem the same. And the split personality.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to Channel 2, where you never know what we're going to do. Jerry, Beach Fairy, Night Shadow, Jari, and D, welcome. So, Shawn Ryan actually interviewed this guy, Eric Hecker, the whistleblower, and he was kind enough to not copyright it. He wants people to share it as long as we provide the link in the description, which I have. And we're just going to focus on this. It's about 30 minutes. We're going to stop and go. It has everything that I wanted to provide. Then after we go through this interview, there's a few points here and there where we'll stop and I'll bring up some other information and we might sidebar it for a minute or two. What is going on, Timmy? Yes, I can't wait to go live on that tonight. The intuition. I wonder if it's related. Imagine. Man, we were right on the money, huh? James Burke, the corrupt police chief in the Gilgo murders investigation, with his thumb on the file. Well, if it is related to Rex Heuermann and that case, man, we called it. We'll have to pat ourselves on the back on that one. What is up, Bobby? Yeah, do we have any details? Has anybody been keeping up on that? I haven't had a chance. I did a quick search and then I think I saw a YouTuber that was covering it and then nothing after that. What is up, GP? Okay. Here's some of the things that some of the notes I took while I was listening to this interview. This interview is incredible. Make sure you guys go watch it. I don't know if you guys know what Raytheon is, what remote viewing. Cherenkov radiation. And apparently, McDonald's wants to put commercials in our dreams. It's crazy. And Havana syndrome. Things I know nothing about. And hopefully, you guys know some things about that and can help out in the chat. Otherwise, we'll learn together. We've been live for about 6 minutes. We'll go another 4 and then we'll just jump right into it. James Burke, a former Long Island police chief who served federal prison time for beating a suspect, was arrested Tuesday for allegedly soliciting sex and exposing himself. What? At a public park. Yikes. What a creep. GP, trust me, I was married to an ex-military naval secret helicopter guy. And there's a lot that the government does not tell everybody. And trust me, I've had several cameras taken away before. Damn. Yeah, people can get in big trouble too, when they leave on vacation and they leave a bunch of secrets. You remember that guy? I think it was recently. It was involving Ukraine and some kind of battle strategy. And he was that the Navy? I think he was either with the Navy or the Air Force. We covered it briefly. Yeah, and sometimes I wonder if these whistleblowers are strategic. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we're going to need you to go ahead and just tell everything you know, because we're strategically revealing this information. Because it seems like lately we're leaning towards that alien thing. Like, what is that about? Makes me think of Ronald Reagan and that speech he made at the United Nations. Do you guys ever see that? Where he was talking about some outside threat that would unite humankind or mankind. I wonder if that's what the pandemic was all about. Sparky Doo says, "Hey, Sleuth, hope you're feeling better. Well, I'm taking care of myself. I did have a little bit of caffeine. V8 sparkling energy. It's not a lot. Just stubborn, I guess. All right, we're at the 8.5 minute mark. We'll get going here in about a minute and a half. Just chill, all right? Lorraine, what's up? Havana syndrome happened in Cuba to government employees where a weapon was used on them using vibrations. Yeah, in the early 2000s, right, is when it kind of broke, that story. I guess deep down, I just hope whatever they're doing, it's for the benefit of the United States. I know that sounds selfish, but deep down, I hope it's not like some kind of we're going to take over the world or at the drop of a dime, we're going to recycle the planet. We're going to erupt the core, spill it out. And all of these rich people, they were making those rocket ships. Elon Musk. Who was the other guy? The Virgin guy? He owns Virgin? The hell's his name? They're all building rocket ships, acting like they're going to go to Mars, but really they just want some luxury satellite that they can hang out in until all the radiation clears. Oh yeah, we're going to make it to Mars. Because in about 2 years, it won't matter. We're going to use this direct energy weapon to erupt all the super volcanoes. Remember all those movies we made? 2000, what was it, 2012? That shit is real. That's like, what do they call that? Pre-programming? Remote viewing. CIA was all over this. Yeah, this guy here, he's going to talk about it. But we are past the 10-minute mark. Let's go ahead and get going.
10 to 2011. Let's talk about what you were doing.
Once again, you are watching Eric Hecker, the whistleblower, talking with Shawn Ryan. And you can get all that information in the description down below.
Down there.
You got it.
What were you doing down there?
I was contracted for the summer season as a plumber. I did well enough in my summer season to garner a winter contract as well, which got me my full year's stay. I was also tasked with being a firefighter. I was a lead on the firefighting team, and because of that dual role capacity, I physically held a key that opened every single door in the facility. I had complete access to every compartment they manufactured. That was a rare position to be in.
What are you blowing the whistle on?
That there are technologies at the South Pole Station that people can't even consider that exist on this planet.
Like what?
Directed energy weapon systems is something that people need to get in their vocabulary fast. The ice cube neutrino detector is not simply a passive listening device as presented for the science that they're claiming it to do. It also has the capacity to transmit. There are embedded in the ice what are called digital optical modules, DOMs. They're about the size of a basketball. The array embedded in the ice is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. It is the world's largest telescope. And now, because we have proven that it can transmit, it's the world's largest directed energy weapons system. It is responsible for the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand in 2011 on the front end of the year.
You guys remember that? I should have pulled up some footage on that, huh? See if I can find something. This one's from CNN. This might be an ad. Hold on. What's up, Melissa? Good to see you. It says this report includes
the moment the quake hit, 12:51 p.m. local time, in the middle of the lunch hour. A 6.3 magnitude quake centred southeast of Christchurch on the South Island, a city in shock. It triggered widespread damage, with buildings collapsed in the centre of the city, at least one on fire. The 4-storey Pinegould Guinness building pancaked and tipped over. It's home to 200 office workers. Firefighters rescued this woman from the roof. She was in remarkably good condition.
Oh, she's so lucky.
Rescuers also used a crane to plug people from a balcony 17 stories up after the building's stairwells collapsed.
Oh my God. Imagine if they caused this. That would be crazy.
The city's famed cathedral. This local reporter was able to take a look inside.
The whole site is completely caved in. Where the tower was, where you could go upstairs and take a view of it.
Look, the whole thing didn't collapse. That's crazy.
Wow.
Along with the collapsed buildings, power has been knocked out in many places. Roads have buckled and the city has run out of ambulances.
Jeff, who's a solicitor, he was stuck under his
Look at her
desk,
face.
but then he got out because he was trying to get over to me, and I don't know if he's got out. I don't think they've got him out yet.
It's on the 4th floor, and I was
Looks like she got
just
attacked
coming out
by
of
a
the
shark.
toilets, and I got thrown backwards down and landed into the 3rd floor, and kind of didn't really know what happened. And then I heard some people screaming out, which were on the 2nd or 3rd floor, and managed to pull them out through the side. But
This is from Reuters.
never seen anything like it in my life, and I don't even want to again, to be fair. Like, I can't even believe I'm talking to you guys now.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is crazy. So this guy's claiming that him and his crew, well, I guess it wouldn't be him, his employer, caused that.
How do you know for a fact that that was responsible for that?
Because I was present and I have gone over this with the pertinent people that I will not be releasing their names.
Okay.
But I was on the team, let's just say, and I've confirmed this.
Well,
I've provided documentation from
Hell yeah,
the
Jerry.
actual manufacturer's specs. So this unit was constructed, operated, and maintained by the University of
bud?
Wisconsin. And just like every other device on the planet, whether you're driving an M1 Abrams tank or operating the ice cube neutrino detector, there's operators manuals that tell you how things work. Right there in that information, free for everybody to find. I found it myself.
That's crazy.
I was directed to find it.
Where's
I'll
the
put
link,
it that
please?
way, and release this information. And it states very clearly that each one of these DOMs can transmit at 2,047 volts each. So these are currently the facts of life.
Great
how do
show.
you know? I mean, how do you, I guess what I'm asking is, how did it even come to your attention that this triggered an earthquake? If you're at the South Pole and New Zealand had an earthquake, I mean, how did you know it came from the South Pole?
Without divulging names,
Without divulging names.
Yeah, bro.
I could only say that it was communicated to me from team members that were present and fully read in at the time that they were aware. And
Yeah, Shawn
since
Ryan's
that
awesome.
time,
At the immediate, like the same day?
oh, absolutely. It was understood
Well, what was said?
that we accidentally hit Christchurch, New Zealand twice when they were trying to fire up this weapon for the first time. That it was friendly fire. It was not on purpose, but it occurred.
Bud Bundy says, is this what was used on Hawaii? Yeah, what if it was like another accident or something? Because when I was young, the conspiracy theory back then was about HARP, and that was like in Alaska. So I don't know if that was like radio waves, radio towers. And they used to say that was like a weather weapon.
That the system is designed for that. And it was just friendly fire.
So
incidental.
this is a telescope. That sounds like a. Is it a telescope?
Absolutely, it is a neutrino detector for sure. It can accomplish its primary purpose. It can also transmit and then provide a multifaceted platform for directed energy weapons systems.
Do you have any idea how the earthquake was initiated?
Misfiring the system.
Where
were they targeting?
Yes.
I don't know.
Does it go into the earth?
Lorraine says it's no accident. For some reason, when I hear this guy talk, I can't help but think about the story of Atlantis. Are you familiar with that story? You know, apparently they had this incredible technology and this power that they just could not contain, right? And then boom, here we are. The meek inherit the earth, right? Passed down stories that were left over, you know, the flood settles, whatever, this catastrophe that happened to the earth. And then it kind of repopulates. And then you got this mysterious group, right? That probably went out and got into their little luxurious satellite until the dust settled, came back and rebuilt everything, right? After the entire planet was destroyed.
Go into the atmosphere.
It can definitely go through the earth. I would consider that it might be able to do stuff in the atmosphere. I haven't heard that statement laid at
Hey,
its
Joe.
feet, but I wouldn't put it past it. I don't want to try to limit the functions of this device by my imagination or experience.
Lorraine says Hawaii is about a military base for the upcoming West with China and Russia. You will hear about it in 2024. That's crazy. I always thought maybe they burned it down and cleared it out because they were getting ready to maybe turn it into a battleground. I always figured if we went to war with China, I think Hawaii would be like the first place, would be where the first conflict happened.
I believe that's one of the problems with directed energy weapons is they are not like
Kind of hard to hide in a jungle, right? When it's burned down.
standard weapons of old where you have a gun and a particular caliber bullet, you pull the trigger and it does one thing. These platforms are way more complex than that. They do a lot of things.
What else do they do?
Excuse me. This system, additionally, in regards to the neutrinos, it detects the neutrinos that are apparently coming off of the new exotic propulsion systems for either off-world UFOs or reverse engineered stuff on our planet.
What is neutrino?
Neutrino is a near massless particle that goes at, close, or beyond the speed of light. It is so small that it can pass between the electron shell and the nucleus of pretty much every atom on the planet. And the capacity of being detected at the South Pole Station, when the neutrino impacts the nucleus of the water molecule of the ice in the glaciers at the pole, a reaction occurs. The nucleus and the neutrino become destroyed. A muon is created and ejected, and a blue flash of light known as Cherenkov radiation flashes in the ice. And that's what the
Cherenkov.
DOMs.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look at that. I think I have a video for that. Cherenkov radiation in 60 seconds. Here, let me start this over. Man, they're going too fast. This mysterious blue glow is caused by particles moving faster than light. Which is possible in a medium like water or air, which are pretty much the same thing. The phenomenon is called Cherenkov radiation. And they have an image here and the name Pavel Cherenkov from 1904 to 1990. I'm assuming it's named after him. And it helps us verify that nuclear material is used peacefully. So it's strange when he calls it a telescope. It's almost like an eyeball, but it's picking up like different things in the spectrum that our eyes probably will never see. Material is used peacefully. And better understand the universe. Nuclear material is often kept underwater. Fukushima. This material emits particles which stimulate surrounding water molecules. This was cool. To give off the unique blue light. Wow. Oh, yeah. Peaceful use. Astrophysicists also use the effect to detect particles in the Earth's atmosphere, which come from distant objects like galaxies. Cool.
Digital optical modules are detecting. That's their primary purpose as presented. Now, whether that neutrino comes from a quasar out in space or a exotic propelled engine off of vehicles that aren't being discussed contemporarily, it detects it.
Hey, what's
thus
up, V?
making it basically an air traffic control center for all non-discussed vehicles on this.
So all of these UFOs are unidentified flying objects. He's saying this is like basically their airport. This is an air traffic control center, similar to your typical local airport. That's crazy. It's like a whole nother, an entire world. They're just like, oh, we're just not going to show it to you. We're going to take all your tax dollars. You're going to fund it, but you don't get to know anything about it. And you're going to like it.
Planet. So just like we have all the other air traffic on the planet and it's being completely observed and attended to, there's just another level of craft on this planet and another level of air traffic control tower that exists. This is that facility.
Crazy.
Back to tracking
like Men in Black.
Neutrinos. What is that? Why are they tracking those?
Oh, for the purposes of science, they're claiming that there's a lot to be ascertained by understanding the difference between low power and high power neutrino ejections from cosmic occurrences. It's about that vague. This is what they spend our tax dollars on.
Let's talk about what else do they do?
The device is also for faster than light communications, quantum entangled communications at great distance. And
Quantum entangled. Marinate on that.
I guess it was the late 80s or early 90s, Gary McKinnon hacked NASA. And he found the list of the off-world space fleet and the captains of the ships respectively. We have a fleet out there. If we have a fleet out there, we need to communicate with them. This is that facility.
Can you explain quantum entanglement communications?
Yes, I don't think most people understand what I'm about to say anyway, but I will. The way quantum entanglement works is that you can take two particles, quantum entangle them, and then take those two particles and move them at any distance in the cosmos. And let's just say, for example, if you quantum entangle two electrons and you have them spinning in the same direction, and then you take one of those electrons and you shoot that thing out 100,000 light years from the original. If you then rotate the spin on the one electron, if you modify it so that its spin changes, the quantum entangled electron at any distance will simultaneously, in no time, switch its rotation also because they're quantum entangled. So these communication systems are taking advantage of this aspect of quantum mechanics that most people can't wrap their heads around. And this is what they're utilizing. It's just the new level of science that affords us the ability to communicate at any distance instantaneously.
That reminds me of that movie, what is it? Event Horizon, which is named after an actual term, the Event Horizon. So I wonder if that's what they're talking about. But he's explaining it differently. I always thought they were like folding space and time to where 2 points meet. But I wonder if that's the same thing. But he's making it seem like this thing is shooting out, way faster than the speed of light. And no matter the immense distance, whatever you do to the other half over here, it'll mirror over there. That's crazy.
I've heard about this. I've tried to dig into it, and it's hard to understand.
It is hard to understand. It would be my best way to put it is that when electricity first came out, it was very hard for a lot of people to understand what Nikola Tesla was getting at. But everyone was using it before they even understood it. And this is just where we are right now. It's just a new technology. It's a new conversation. People don't have to understand it yet. They just have to realize it's real.
What other kind of things can this?
Oh boy. Voice to skull technology. This is also in the foray of directed energy weapons.
What is that?
The ability to, let's just say, throw your voice into your head or my voice into my head, or allowing algorithms that now they can blanket a whole geographical area and they can make everybody change their thoughts. They can, I use the term intrusive thoughts. Back to that fork in the road analogy. If you find yourself where you have to make a decision about something, next thing you know, you catch yourself kind of having an argument in your head with your own voices. Well, the ability to add another one of your voices in there, but have it controlled by somebody else's microphone, so to say, is a very powerful tool.
That kind of reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. Like they're the wizard and Oz is like in your head talking.
And I think this is a weapon of war that we are seeing happen to everyone around us. The Department of Defense recently started initiating protocols for their employees, their agents, to discuss Havana syndrome-like symptoms. And on that list is that their agents are hearing voices in their head.
Did you guys hear that? He's talking about Havana syndrome. I didn't get anything on that, but I definitely want to follow up on all the topics he's bringing up because it's a great list here. Like he said as a child, they had him in a program, I think it was called Stargazer, and they were trying to see if he could become like they can train him to become a remote viewer. And that's basically where you can kind of take your spirit or your mind or your consciousness and kind of just go anywhere you want. So we might take a closer look at some of these things.
And this is what they're getting at. This is that technology that, next thing you know, you're trying to make a decision, but there's another Shawn in your head that now is actually somebody else's control. And through the manipulation of that voice, they can now push you, just like we have, the cell phones are weaponized now, the social media platforms, and they can engage with an algorithm, and they know that they can push you in a direction by repetitive information being displayed in front of you, similar to the tachistoscope in grammar school, that they can learn your system and they can learn to manipulate it on a personalized.
Timmy says, I bet the media and government would love mind control. Well, they do love mind control. They're in the business of mind control. Well, I guess it's a type of mind control. It's more of like a hypnosis. It's a repetitive. You might be talking with a family member in the background. The news is saying something, right? When you turn on your favorite news station, they say it. And then when you're walking into a building, walking through the airport, news station, they're saying it. So you're being blasted subliminally. So it's more, I think, like hypnosis, really. The first thing that comes to mind is like the weapons of mass destruction. You guys remember that? They just beat it in. Hammering a nail, like weapons of mass destruction. Got it. We're going to war, guys.
Level by just assessing you, what the things are that you're interested in, what are your weak points, what's the crack in the dam, what's the angle of attack. And it's through repetition and access. These are simply electromagnetic impulses in your head. It's not that they can't be read, it's not that they can't be copied, and it's not that they can't be just replayed with somebody else's control. I mean, I could get a voice changing thing and I could sound like you if I wanted to. I could call you.
Yeah, that's pretty scary, Beach Fairy. Beach Fairy says, imagine if they did that, then imposed thought crime. Wow. Man, I'd be on death row if that was the case.
On the phone, I could call your loved ones and I could pretend I'm Shawn. And they can do that for you in your own.
How are you finding all of this out?
Years of research. The McDonald's Corporation just had an ad come out a few months ago that they're looking into research and development in a technology that will afford them the ability to pump their commercials into your brain while you're sleeping.
What the freak? All right, this is where I kind of wanted to stop and be like, there's just no way. Wow. This one's from science.org. See what they have to say. Are advertisers coming for your dreams? Scientists warn of efforts to insert commercials into dreams. If you've ever crammed for an exam just before bedtime, you may have tried something dream researchers have been attempting for decades, coaxing knowledge into dreams. Such efforts have had glimmers of success in the lab. Now, brands from Xbox to Coors to Burger King are teaming up with scientists to attempt something similar. Engineer advertisements into willing consumers' dreams via video and audio clips. This week, a group of 40 dream researchers has pushed back in an online letter calling for the regulation of commercial dream manipulation. Yeah, so it's like they need the funding for it. So they kind of lie about it. They get the funding, and then behind the scenes, they're like weaponizing it.
You think that they figured this out or some other company figured it out first? You think if they're going to have this available to them next year, you think that there weren't agencies that have been wielding this for a decade or so?
You're 100. Is there any, where can I read about this?
It's immediately available on the internet that McDonald's put this out there.
McDonald's.
Crazy.
McDonald's Corporation is looking into
like,
putting commercials into
wasn't
our
hard to
brains
find.
while we're sleeping.
And that's,
Well, it's not, apparently it's not just McDonald's. It's like other companies too, like Burger King.
we can look that up.
Absolutely.
I gotta look that up.
Understood.
I've not heard of that.
Understood. But now imagine when
He's in disbelief. So was I. I was like, I gotta look this up. He's like, I've never heard of that. You're lying. You're a liar. I don't believe you.
if they can do that next year,
Oh, I'm with you.
who's been doing it for the last decade or so?
Nick
I'm with you.
Brainwaves.
Right?
Oh gosh. I'm gonna keep some of these jokes to myself.
100% with you.
So now when we look around the world and we see everybody acting the way that they are acting, let's consider that these intrusive thoughts have already been present.
Hillary Clinton.
What do we do about this? These are the weapons of war contemporarily. It's very unfortunate, but it used to be that war was a bit more noble when we selected people, we put them in uniforms, we sent them over there to the battlefield, and we said, fight for us. And effectively, that would have been an act of attrition of each nation's resources until there was a victor. Now, unfortunately, they've circumnavigated the battlefield. Nobody's dressed in uniforms anymore, and the front line is every neighborhood that we're in.
Yeah, it reminds me of the French-Indian War. You know, the French were like marching in a straight line, and here comes I think it was the introduction, they said, of guerrilla warfare, but it was just the natives, you know. We just knew we've been doing it, you know. They've been at war, tribal war for so long. They're not going to come, hey, we're gentlemen, you know, I'm here to kill you. You ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. No, they're going to stalk you and hunt you, you know what I mean? And it was all new to them. So this is kind of like the same thing, but just with like technology.
And the infrastructure is still under attack. It's just that now the average mortgage payer is in the line of fire. The list of Havana syndrome-like symptoms, which my South Pole crew and many South Pole crews are suffering, that other agencies are suffering, if people pay really close attention, they're going to notice that these symptoms are prevalent in the general population as well.
Interesting. I interviewed a former CIA.
Holy crap. $205 billion
About this, who has Havana syndrome and has been speaking out on it quite a bit. His name's Mark Polypernopoulos. But what?
Subliminal.
I mean, is there anything else going on down there? I mean, we just went through a lot of stuff here.
Yes, actually. There's a system known as ELF, extra low frequency. It's also a massive antenna that's embedded in the ice there. When I arrived to the facility as a tradesman and firefighter, I was read into how everything worked because I needed for the safety of my crew to be able to battle fires
for sure, GP.
and engage things appropriately. And at the onset, I was told that the ELF system is off. It's defunct. It's disabled. It is just sitting dead in the ice. But through my need to make an additional repair on something else and tracing back to a sub panel, I was finding the circuit that I needed to lock out, tag out, and do all the safe repairs. But then I noticed that this other breaker that was supposed to be off was in the on position, and it was listed as the ELF. And I ran it up my chain. I said, what's going on here? I said, this is supposed to be off. I was told it's off. Now, and I was just given a hard. It's.
Oh wait, I want to see what flags were out there. Oh, I missed it.
I needed to lock out, tag out, and do all the safe repairs. But then I noticed that this other breaker that was supposed to be off was in the on position, and it was listed as the ELF. And I ran it up my chain. I said, "What's going on here?" I said, "This is supposed to be off. I was told it's off now." And I was just given a hard, "It's on." And that was the end of my need to know. They didn't want to tell me anything else. You have identified the circuit that you need to work on. You have been informed that you can safely do your job.
Related?
Carry on. So I did my job. I made the repair that I needed to on the circuit next to the circuit that I was now informed is duly on and operating. So the ELF is up and running, and that, again, is a multifaceted directed energy weapons platform.
That just looks scary. We're going to put it on the moon. What's that movie?
Yeah.
Austin
Do you have
Powers?
pictures of any of this stuff?
I have a lot of pictures of me in these facilities.
So those DOMs. Digital optical modules. So he says they put them in the ice and they separate them, and together they create a huge telescope. It's crazy.
I have a lot of pictures of me in these facilities. They mostly just prove my presence.
If you hand those over, I'll display them on screen right now.
I have all these screenshots.
I can get you pictures before you present this to the world.
So we're going to go back over all of these.
Let's talk about the clear air system called Aero.
Yes.
Commonly referred to as the no-fly zone.
Yes.
At Ollie, we get it. Dummy.
A no-fly zone in the vaguest sense of the term at first glance. But as any pilot knows, there's always, fine print. So the no-fly zone, as listed at the South Pole Station because of Arrow, simply provides a limit to the ability for a plane to...
Lorraine says, you think it was a coincidence they visited Antarctica? Look who was there. Yeah, check this out. So I got this from the historychannel.com. World War II, Adolf Hitler is on the South Pole. And he said he was there for the purposes of margarine, I believe. Called it the German Fat Plan. To improve the efficiency of domestic consumption of butter. Whaling ships. Yeah, and I even think they named it. It was like an autonomous zone or something. Wait, I think I might have some other photos. Oh, here it is. So yeah, apparently this is a photo of, I guess the building of like a Nazi base in Antarctica. So they must have known something, and they kind of had like advanced technology too during World War II. They had like their fighter jets, like rockets and things like that. I think they even had like Scud missiles and shit towards the end there. I wonder if they started learning about that from whatever was being taken out of Antarctica. Project Paperclip. We basically snatched all those scientists up anyway.
to fly too low. It sets the floor at 8,000 feet. You can't fly below 8,000 feet. A lot of people like to try to claim that there's a hole at South Pole Station and there's a no-fly zone that protects from you flying in an area that'll see the hole. And that's just total shenanigans. The no-fly zone limits your ability to fly low, not high. So with that height available, you will see everything available to see, which is ice as far as the eye can see.
hell?
There is no hole in the ice at the South Pole Station. There may be one somewhere else. I can't testify to the entirety of the continent. It's huge. All I can say is that when people are talking about there being a hole at the South Pole, they're full of crap. They don't know what they're talking about. They're taking something that they know very little.
See, what if his whole purpose is so that you don't know about this hole? You know what I mean? Like they're like, we want you to come forward. You come forward and you spill all this information that we were planning to release anyway. But now that they know that you've been there and you've been all through the build, you had a key to every building. You've seen it all. There's no hole. The flat earthers are going crazy. Or no, that would be the hollow earthers are going crazy.
About and just running with it. They say in other ways that, you know, a little information is a dangerous thing, and that's what these people are doing, is they're operating off of very little information. The Atmospheric Research Observatory, as I testified in DC, I witnessed myself in doing my standard rounds in the winter season at South Pole Station, that building would, with great regularity, have a very powerful green laser beam shooting out of it into the cosmos.
Crazy.
I believe through other things that I've located there, which is the
They're gonna mess around and blow
chilled
us all
helium
up.
in a massive amount. It is chilled down to 4 degrees Kelvin in storage, which my understanding, this is something new that I'm learning about. It's called superfluids. Superfluids act very differently than other things in our scientific spectrum and are used for things called chemical lasers. Well, we had a superfluid and we had a laser. So
like
I
a
believe that what
lightsaber.
I'm learning on this is that it was probably a secondary means of long-range communication and or another weapons platform. June 18th was my birthday, right after Dr. Greer's event of June 12th. On June 18th,
What's up,
the
Tony?
National Science Foundation website could have posted anything they wanted for a photograph. But on my birthday, I would say I got a gift from someone in the program because they posted a picture of the Arrow Building's green laser blasting into the cosmos.
That's crazy. Wasn't there like some conspiracy about the California fires and about some type of laser coming out of space? So I just don't know how a laser that's straight is going to come back on itself. So they must be able to reflect it somehow.
Which verifies exactly what I saw.
Interesting. And you think that might be a communication device? How would they be communicating with the laser?
I don't understand the science of it. I just know that it exists.
Okay.
The laser beam communication, direct line of sight, laser beam comms, microwave type comms.
Yeah, I've heard that stuff.
It exists.
I used to work with this guy a long time ago. He was huge into the hollow earth. And I mean, he would get mad. He would get heat. Anytime he brought it up, it turned into this heated debate. Like, you haven't seen this and you haven't seen that. Like, I mean, this dude was just convinced that the earth was hollow.
You say a lot of the crew members from the South Pole are experiencing Havana syndrome symptoms. What are some of those symptoms?
Yeah, hollow earth. We were just talking about that. The Nephilim mentioned in the Bible, giants. Yeah, there's a whole movement that talks about giants and the Nephilim. So yeah. Oh, buried in it. Yeah, what if they're like trying to dig up some giant and reanimate it or something?
They have mental degradation, troubles with their memory, fatigue.
What was it? The Book of Enoch, I think, is the first time I learned about the Nephilim and the Watchers and all that stuff. Mount Sinai.
Stuff like that. Skin issues.
Headaches?
Yes.
The Antarctica Treaty of 1959. An agreement signed by 12 nations in which the Antarctic continent was made demilitarized to be preserved for scientific research. What do you think about that?
I think it's a load of malarkey. And I'm going to throw a gentleman's name out there.
Yeah, Tony, CERN. We covered CERN on this channel, and we talked about how they had the statue of Shiva and all the different languages, as if I don't know, if they opened up some kind of portal and something came through, it would be able to communicate, like, here, just read this one or something along those lines. It's really strange.
That I have worked with. He told me very specifically at the time that we communicated.
Me too.
He's going to die when he sees this video. I worked with a gentleman by the name of Aaron Bontrager, and he was also previously contracted by Raytheon Polar Services as a cook to work on a cat train that went across the ice. And he said the express purpose for him, I should say, for that team working for Raytheon, was they were searching for missile site locations. The whole idea of this being demilitarized is a load of baloney.
How do you think they're getting, how are they powering this facility?
I believe there's a secondary power source inside of the old pole that was built in 1957.
What do you mean the old pole?
The original pole, I should say, built in 1957, we referred to as old pole. There was other facilities that were manufactured, different stages of inhabitation of crew. So 1957 was the first one. It predates the Antarctic Treaty, which means that they could have had nuclear power there. I believe they did have nuclear power there, and that since then they may have maintained it, almost like a grandfather clause, or that they may have new, more exotic systems that are not in the legalese of the treaty.
Why do you think Antarctica is a no-fly zone?
Antarctica is not a no-fly zone.
Well, Arrow, commonly referred to as a no-fly zone. Why?
It's a misnomer. You can fly right over the no-fly zone. You just have to be higher than 8,000 feet.
Well, I'm asking, why do you have to be higher than 8,000?
Oh, because it's because of the they're doing science on the cleanliness of the air, so they just don't want it tainted. Similarly, there's no land traffic allowed in that area. So you can take a snow machine. If I wanted to go visit the building to do my rounds, I could take a snow machine up to a certain point, and then I had to stop the snow machine and walk, because simply the exhaust gases from the machine would taint their sensors. So the only reason they're trying to block out vehicular
what is that, homeostasis?
Their activity is to keep the exhaust gases out of their sensors.
How do you get there?
How do you get to Arrow?
Yeah.
It's within walking distance of the elevated station.
How do you fly into Antarctica?
You fly in with a you just come in from outside of that quadrant,
okay,
or above 8,000 feet.
Okay. How much air traffic is going around there?
During the summer seasons, 24 hours of operation, they typically have a few Hercs on deck idling most of the time, and a lot of fuel is brought in by Herc. Our waste is brought out by Herc when the airmen will allow themselves to be a flying garbage can, as they claim. But yeah, basically almost all operations and logistics were done by Herc. While we were there, in my 2010 season, they had brought in their first fuel haul over land as kind of an experiment to the process. And it's my understanding that they call this a traverse, that they have since increased traverse activity to drag large fuel bladders across the ice to resupply the fuel that way, being more economic than doing it by Herc, and then affording that volume of Herc space that's not being utilized for fuel now can, of course, do other things. The flight operations are almost 24 hours a day during the summer season, because nothing moves in the winter season. So everything has to occur in a certain window.
Okay. Man, back to the putting voices in people's heads. Are you aware of any ways to defend against that?
Know thyself. It's an ancient practice, and it's an ancient practice for a reason. These modern technologies are bastardizations of ancient techniques. Way back in the day, they would call someone a magician who was adept at this skill. I could walk into the room and I would potentially have that skill set to put my thought in your head. It's just a technique. It's completely doable. But now we have people that are no longer going through these schools of nobility to learn to practice these things nicely. And we have evil people that are taking technologies and utilizing them, because
Knowledge
again,
is power.
it's just simply electromagnetic impulses. They can be read, they can be used, they can be hijacked. Schools of nobility to learn to practice these things nicely, and we have evil people that are taking technology. Great question. I want to emphasize that we are currently in a state of war that people aren't realizing.
What is that?
These weapons are being wielded around us, against us. There are power players that are above nation states. Geographical boundaries and political parties mean very little to the wealthy elite on this planet. We're pawns, we're chattel. I am a person for the people. We, the people of this planet, deserve a better future than the one we are being presented.
I like it. And you know, you always got to be careful. These guys are playing chess, you know. You never know. For whatever reason, every step could be calculated, you know. But yeah, this is our 5-minute warning. If there's anything you guys want to add to the chat, now is the time. And here are those screenshots. Let's take a look. All these pallets back here. Damn, looks pretty cold. Robert Scott. Let him cook. Thank you, Jerry. All right, what do you guys think? Is he full of crap? Is he disgruntled? Is he exaggerating? Is he trying to tie his own conspiracies to his work at this private facility, making it more than it really is? Damn, it's going right through the snow, huh? Or ice, I guess. They need to get some electrical tape. They need to fix that. No wonder why they're having misfires. See, and they got Santa Claus hanging out. Pretty sure his sleigh runs on neutrinos. Oh, here it is. Look, they got it all mapped out. Wow, that looks crazy. So here's that building he took a photo with. But look at it from a bird's eye view. These must be the DOMs. And then together they make like one eyeball that can see through space, apparently. That's crazy. The ice cube neutrino detector records the interactions of a nearly massless subatomic particle called the neutrino. Famous last words. Look what I did with the neutrinos. That's when Elon pops the bottle of champagne in his spaceship that's floating around the Earth. I told him. Yeah, that's how he's able to do it. Neutrino. My sled is powered with neutrinos, young children. Ho, 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 ho. It makes perfect sense. And why is it in the ice in Antarctica? Trying to wrap my mind around this. The Ice Cube telescope is a powerful tool to search for dark matter and could reveal the physical process associated with the enigmatic origin of the highest energy particles in nature. Yeah, this does kind of remind me of CERN. I wonder if they work together. Crazy. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for catching the live stream for all of you that did. V. Marie, good to see you. Lorraine, Beach Fairy, Jari, Tony N, always good to see you. Timmy, Outback, welcome. GP, Bud, Bobby, Chopper, good to see you as always, my friend. Did I get you, Bobby? Yep, I sure did. Got V. Marie. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel too, or anybody, this is more of like a right-leaning channel as far as politics and political perspective, I guess. So if you think anybody might be interested, shoot it that way. It's nothing like channel 1. That's why we have channel 2. Talking about the Ice Cube telescope that's going to destroy the entire world by the one wrong keystroke. Did you say Control N? You got it. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I had fun. Yeah, this stuff's interesting to me. And on that note, guys, we're out of here. Take care.
We are the unknown unknowns, cell structure standard, objective, unknowable, unthinkable, and underhand, a bit like the anti-masons, but without compass and aprons. We work within the boundaries and metaphors compounded. Nobody knows who planned it, traveling underground, or the alien's identity.
Good
Hiding
one,
in
Timmy.
place like
Good
universe,
one.
the entirety of this entity, imperial. Try to trace through the mechanics, finding file marks for serials. You can scream, but I can't hear you, leaving only
you,
digital
Melissa.
misprints for footprints with the intent, distraction factors, causing incidents and false captures. My grandfather's father founded secret societies, and now I infiltrate secrets using PSI tricks and quantum mechanics.